Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to continue our NFL predictions with the Tennessee Titans. Titans having the worst record last year, thus allowed them to get the number one overall pick, which they used to draft Cam Ward. But compare this to the 2023 and 2024, this was a major drop-off season for the Titans. You know they fired Mike Vrabel that offseason, and I'm not faulting them for that. But they hired Brian Callahan, who has proven in just 1 year not to be a good coach. The Titans instead, after the disastrous 2024 season, fired the GM. Luckily, Callahan is given a second chance to turn things around. As for Will Levis, well, he's now regulated backup duty because of Cam Ward. He was supposed to make the leap to be the possible franchise guy, but he ended up being a turnover and meme machine as a result. And one more time, Cam Ward is now the number one overall pick. He will be the face of this franchise going forward. And I can hope nothing but the best for that. And this is their last year's schedule. And they only won 3 games. 2 of them being on the road. One was against Miami, which Miami didn't have Tua, so beating a Tua-less Dolphins is very easy. Then they beat the Patriots. I think that game went to overtime. And they went on the road and beat the Texans because the Texans' offensive line decided to have an off year this year. And that's it. No other wins other than that. And with that being said, let's take a look at their 2025 schedule. Alright, Tennessee, let's take a look at your schedule. And you're starting your season off with the Denver Broncos. And given that the Broncos were very successful last season, do I think some of it will follow up? A little bit. I'm going to go ahead and give the Broncos the week 1 win. And then week 2 they got the Rams. And I do think highly of the Rams this year, but I do think this might be the last year the Rams might be good. All I'm going to say. But week 3 against the Colts, I think this is where Cam Ward gets his first win. He'll against a division rival at home. It makes sense. Next we got is the Houston Texans, and for me, this one's a bit of a toss-up. It's a division opponent. You never know. And if you don't know, the Titans have beaten the Texans last year. In Houston at that. So, how about that be the case here? Let's surprise the people. Now we got the Cardinals. And the Cardinals, since they're coming off a mini bye, I'm going to give it to the Cardinals. Next they got is the Raiders. I'm going to go ahead and take the Raiders in this one. In week 7, Mike Vrabel comes home to Tennessee. As if you don't know, Mike Vrabel is the head coach of the New England Patriots now. I'm going to go ahead and take the Titans to win that one. And for week 8 against the Colts, I think they'll split the series there. Chargers, I think this might be the shocking game where I think the Titans might pull off the win here. And they go in their bye week and with a good little record, which is 4-5. And the rest of their season goes as follows. Houston Texans already got the Titans getting a surprise road win against their division rival. I think they're going to return the favor there. Seattle Seahawks is next. And I know this game's at home. Seattle has a lot of unknowns for me, so I got to go with the Titans here too. Week 13, we got the Jaguars. And I think Jacksonville's going to be a little better. But I don't know. This is another one I don't really know. I do think they're going to split, though. So, give me the Titans there. Then they go on the road to take on Cleveland. I do think Cleveland's going to be... Until I find out their quarterback, I don't know what they're going to be. But I'm going to go ahead and give the Browns a win there. 49ers, I think the 49ers are going to be pretty good this year. Might be one of their last good years that they're going to have. They got to take advantage. So, give me that. Chiefs and Titans. Now, here's the thing. If there's one opponent that the Chiefs has historically struggled with in recent years, it was the Titans. And here's what you don't know. I think Patrick Mahomes is winless in Tennessee. And I know he won the last matchup they played in 2023-ish, 2023 or 2022. But let's not forget, he one time he had 3 points. And I don't know why I'm mentioning this now, because it's the Chiefs. Give them a win there. And to round things up, I got them beating the Saints, because I think the Saints are probably going to wind up being the worst team in the league. And week 18, I had, like I said, splitting with the Jaguars. So I have the Titans going a respectable 7-10 with their new quarterback. I think they have a chance to go worse than first, but for now, 7-10 is way better than 3-14. I think the Titans will take what they can get. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Gamble safely, and I'll see you next time. Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to continue our NFL predictions with the Houston Texans. And back-to-back years making the playoffs. Back-to-back years winning playoff game. And for some reason, people are just underwhelmed. And I think the biggest reason was that there was turmoil within the offensive line to the point it had to be gutted and rebuild. And Stroud regressed because of it. And as a result, I say this season was a bit of a growing pains for the Texans. And I don't really have much else to say. Maybe, hopefully they could get out of that and get back to the, possibly challenge the Chiefs, Ravens, and Bills for AFC hierarchy. We'll have to see. And Texans went back-to-back years going 10-7. And things started off pretty strong. Started off by winning out 5 of their last 6, which included stealing one against Buffalo. I found that very, very impressive. Then things started to fall off. They lost to Green Bay on the road. And while they beat the Colts, they lost to the Jets, were the Jets, and they lost to the Lions despite turning Jared Goff 5 times. I remember that. And while they beat their in-state rivals, the Cowboys, they lost to the Titans at home, beat the Jaguars, beat the Dolphins, closed the season beating the Titans, but they could not beat the Chiefs, and they still can't find the end zone against the Ravens. If you don't know, in the 3 games CJ Stroud has played against the Ravens, he has failed to come up with a touchdown. Now, if you look at their postseason, they were able to beat the Chargers because Justin Herbert had a meltdown game and Quentin Johnson's hands was made of stone. But they could not beat the Chiefs and the refs in the divisional round. And I know the Texans, they really want to get to that AFC Championship game for the first time in franchise history. And while they do, I think they have a roster that could set up to do that. I don't know. Let's just take a look at their 2025 schedule. Okay, Texans, let's take a look at your schedule. Starting off week 1, I got them losing on the road to the Los Angeles Rams. I think it's a good quality week 1 matchup. Week 2, on Monday Night Football, I have them beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Week 3 at Jacksonville, I'm going to give them the road win. I think they win on the road against Jacksonville. But week 4 against the Titans, I think they lose at home to them. It's going to be a shocking loss for them. In week 5, Ravens own the Texans, so we know the result of that. So after bye week 2 and 3, not a good start. But then they lose to the Seattle Seahawks on Monday night. Then they're going to lose to the 49ers at home. Yikes, what's going on? But I have them getting a win over the Denver Broncos. Week 10 against Jacksonville, I have them splitting that game, splitting the series. And then rounding things off, I have them beating the Titans on the road, losing to the Bills at home, beating the Colts. I have them beating the Colts on the road. As a matter of fact, I have them sweeping the Colts, losing to the Chiefs, beating the Card. Then they're going to go on a 4-game winning streak where they're going to beat the Cardinals. I have them beating the Raiders, beating the Chargers on the road, and then I have them beating the Colts at home, which brings their record to 9-8, which is a regression to what they were last year. Hopefully, Texans could win probably one or two or more games to put them back in the AFC contention. But of all the AFC contenders, I think they're probably one of the weakest of the bunch. I'll leave it at that. But anyway, tell me what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Gamble safely, and I'll see you next time. Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to continue our NFL predictions with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And this was a terrible year in Duval County. It felt like the collapse they had in 2023 carried them in 2024. But with the underwhelming play of Trevor Lawrence and injury, Mac Jones not being able to save this dreck, and thus Doug Peterson was fired, but Trent Baalke got to stay. Until it was realized that no coach wanted to coach under his regime, so they told him to bounce as well. But things weren't. There was some hope in Jacksonville. Brian Thomas, he had a stellar rookie season. I find that impressive. But now he's going to be paired up with a generational talent in Travis Hunter. Is he going to play offense? Is he going to play defense? Is he going to return his special teams? He might just do it all. But last year, Jacksonville was the last team in the NFL to get a win. With that win coming against Indianapolis, because they always beat Indianapolis and Jacksonville. They got their second win in London over the Patriots. But then they started their little losing streak. And Trevor Lawrence was playing through some injuries during that stretch, but his season ended in week 13 when he suffered a concussion that sit him down for the rest of the year, and thus resulted in a 4-13 record, somehow not last in the AFC South. But hopefully, can Jacksonville, under their new head coach Liam Cohen, can able to get back what they had in 2022? Let's take a look. Alright, Jacksonville, Duval County boys, let's take a look at your little schedule. Week 1, I have them playing the Carolina Panthers. I have them winning that game. Week 2 against the Cincinnati Bengals, I have them losing that. Week 3 against the Texans, I have them losing that as well. Week 4, 5, 6, 7 are all going to be losses against the 49ers, Chiefs, Seahawks, and Rams, which means bye week they're at 1-6. Things are not looking too good for you, Jacksonville. But week 9, I got them losing to the Raiders. I think the Raiders are gonna be a little better than what they were last year. Week 10, I have them beating the Texans on the road. That's gonna be a shocking game. But week 11, I have them losing on the road to the Chargers. I know the Chargers want revenge from that playoff game. Week 12 against the Cardinals, I have them losing that. Week 13 against the Titans, I have them losing that. But week 14 against the Colts, I have them winning that because it's Jacksonville, Indianapolis. And it's in Jacksonville. What else they're going to do? I have them beating the Jets week 15. Week 16, I have them losing to the Broncos. And then I have them losing to the Colts. I think they split the series there before beating the Titans, which brings their record to 5-12. I mean, it's an improvement from 4-13, but for a Trevor Lawrence-led Jacksonville Jaguar team, that's not going to bode well for his future there. But anyway, tell me what y'all think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Gamble safely. I'll see you next time. Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to continue our NFL predictions with the Indianapolis Colts. And does anyone else feel like the Colts was just there in 2024? Sure, they had an okay season, but I think the disappointments overshadowed the 8-9 record. And the biggest one coming from Anthony Richardson, who struggled with completion percentage in his sophomore season. And now there's people in Indianapolis starting to lose some faith in him. Now he's in a quarterback competition with, you guessed it, Daniel Jones. And not to mention that the defense wasn't that great last year either. And if it wasn't for Jonathan Taylor's revival, this season could have gotten a lot worse for Indianapolis. And like I said, they went 9-8, 8-9 last year. But Anthony Richardson was, while he showed flashes, he was not good. Started off 0-2, but then they won 4 of their next 5. So things were looking okay. Then Anthony Richardson gassed out against the Texans, benched in favor of the eliteness of Joe Flacco, which they lost the next 2 games. A-Rich comes back from his little breather, and they were able to get decent wins over the Jets and Patriots. And after their bye week, it was just they exchanged losses and wins. So the Colts, I feel like this is a very pressure season with the Indianapolis Colts, with new ownership which would be owned by Irsay's daughters, since Irsay unexpectedly passed away. May he rest in peace. I know Shane Steichen, he's feeling all the pressure heading into 2025. Let's take a look at the schedule, which, brace yourselves, it's not going to be pretty. Okay, Indianapolis, let's take a look at this schedule. And I'm not going to assume whether it's Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson, the starter. I'm just going to base it off of quick takes. So, week 1 against the Dolphins, I have them losing that. But week 2 against the Denver Broncos, I also have them losing that. Losing that game as well. But week 3 against the Tennessee Titans, I also have them losing that as well. Week 4 against the Rams, I also have them losing that. Week 5, I think this is where their first win is going to come against the Raiders at that. But rest of the season, losing to the Cardinals week 6, losing to the Chargers week 7, beating the Titans week 8, losing to the Steelers week 9. They could probably end up winning that game. Who knows? Losing to the Falcons week 10. And into their bye week, they're at 2-8. Definitely not good. Week 12, losing to the Chiefs. Even though the last time these two teams played, the Colts actually won that one. Losing to the Texans, losing to the Jaguars, losing to the Seahawks, losing to the 49ers, beating the Jaguars a second time. And then I have them losing to the Texans. And if you do the math correctly, 3-14. And that's not going to be enough for Shane Steichen to keep his job. Colts, I know this is probably going to might be a good thing for them to go 3-14. New ownership, which will be the daughters of the Irsays, they probably want a huge do-over of this team heading into 2026. So anyway, tell me what y'all think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Gamble safely, and I'll see you next time.